Welcome to the Living Elan Podcast, where we help you reclaim your confidence and energy through taking control of your wellness. I'm Paige Hope.
And I'm Tracey Vlahos. Join us for quick chats on wellness, personal growth, hormone regulation, and more. Well, excited, Paige, about this particular topic because I believe that every woman is going to be able to relate to this topic and it's going to help them. All I'm going to say here for just a second, energy-wise, maybe PMS food craving wise, it is literally going to change their life. And hey, listen, gentlemen, I want you to listen to this podcast as well, because I will tell you all of a sudden, it's going to make sense. And if you've got daughters, you have a wife, whatever that is, you work with women, this is going to click with you. And you're going to understand sometimes why we have more energy, sometimes brain fog, maybe just a little bit grumpier than other times. I've heard women say that. So,
or a little bit more, I don't know the proper word for this, but I'm going to say horny.
Yes.
I don't know what other word to use.
Horny is definitely a word because that is part of our natural cycle and a hormone cycle. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about cycle syncing. I mean, This is what we're going to be able to talk about today because all of that plays a part in this. You know, it used to be that we would only, Paige, talk about like, oh, when it was time for our menstrual cycle. Oh, it's day one. That's all we talked about, right? We didn't talk about all the phases that go in it. And matter of fact, it's really beautiful. Now,
well, what's crazy is I'm pretty sure nobody, I mean, especially if we have some male listeners, but people actually don't realize that there are more cycles within the one cycle you're thinking of. So that's why we're excited about this episode, because it's almost like a basic 101. Who is the woman? What is the woman? What do we do? And that is going to give a lot of insight into how you guys can actually have more energy and confidence in each of the phases, because we're going to give some tips as well. So Tracey, I'm excited to hear from you because you've been obviously studying this stuff for so long. Walk us through just all of the cycles, because let's be real, it's not just your period.
No, and that's all we used to talk about. So let's jump into it. For every man or woman out there, right? A normal cycle for a woman is 28 days, is what I'm going to say, right? You've got day one, that is the first day of your menstrual cycle. Most women will then have another cycle then 28 days later. So, right, I can remember I'm 11 years old. I'm in the 5th grade and I get my first cycle. And I remember thinking it was not fun. It was during the summer. I just wanted to get a bathing suit on and go swimming. And then all of a sudden I have this cycle and I'm like, what? And I'm like the first one in my class. And ever since that point, it was just never fun. We never talked about all the different phases and really what that means for all of us. So what I want to do, and Paige, what I love, and when I first met you, is that you started talking right away about like syncing your cycle up to your activity. We're going to talk about like the type of foods, the type of creativity at work, the type of workouts. I mean, it definitely, if you really pay attention, you can maximize all these beautiful cycles within that 1 through 28. Now, here's the good news. Let's say you're listening to this in a car right now. Let's say you're listening, wherever that is, and you can't take notes. We have also created graphics for you. So we're going to have those on social media. We're going to have those on Pinterest. Make sure that you are definitely on our email list, because we're going to have an email go out, and, we'll make sure that we have everything linked there, because you're going to want to refer to it. Like in front of me, I've always had the different cycles, because literally it's so funny. Even, I'm not sure about you, Paige, but even over the years, I was like, I'll look down and go, oh yeah, I need to be changing what I'm eating. Oh yeah, no wonder I'm so tired this week. I shouldn't be doing all of this really like hard working out. I need to be doing more Pilates. And so having something in front of you, and that's why we created something we felt like was super important, so that you could understand this, because it's hard to memorize all of it.
It is. Well, Tracey, walk us through it.
Okay.
What are all of the cycles?
Okay. You know what? We're going to because I like to break it down. We're going to jump right in your menstrual cycle. let's just talk about it.
Yep.
So we're most familiar when I say that, that's day 1, your first day of your menstrual cycle through day 5. Most people have, 5 days within their menstrual cycle or so. But no matter what, we're talking through days 1 through day 5. We understand that during that time, our energy is low. Like, you need to understand that during that time, if possible, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to have low energy. That's probably not the time that I want to start a project, that I need to be up at, 5 a.m., that I need to be doing all this thoughtfulness. That is the time where you're like, you know what? I need to lay low a little bit. If possible, maybe perhaps I'm going to bed a little bit earlier. I'm sleeping in a little bit. That's the time you want to really rest, and your body wants to rest anyway.
Yeah, because this is like the lowest energy point. Think of like your menstrual cycle as like, 1, you're not going to actually have any energy, and you're supposed to rest. I think that's what is important for families as well. If you're married, have kids or whatever, like, you're actually supposed to build in time within your schedule for rest. Now, I know some of you guys are like, how do I even do that? I have so much going on. And I know it sounds crazy, but again, like, we are the divine feminine. This is so important for us to figure out how to be in tune with our bodies and actually figure out a way to connect more deeply within ourselves. And this is one special way to do it. And so lean into rest during this phase. This is going to reduce burnout. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to go to your boss and say, hey, sorry, I can't work today. Like, that's not going to work out. Maybe if you work at Elan Pure, we do have some different rules over here.
We do.
It is important to still, like, as you're going into the workplace or as you're thinking about, okay, how do I recover? Well, maybe this means you're not actually going to the gym for these 3 to 5 days. You are waking up, getting your warm lemon water, and you're going on a walk, and that is what your body needs. And then you're going into the office. This is not a time where you're going to go PR in the gym or you're going to go strength train. And in fact, like, this is really a time for me personally where I only walk and stretch. I don't actually lift at all during my menstrual phase, mainly because I am still going through healing my hormones. And this is a time for my body to calm down and actually self-regulate instead of putting it into a higher stress environment. So if there's one takeaway from this episode, I want it to be this: rest during your menstrual phase. It is okay to rest, and do not feel like you're lazy during this time. Your body is meant to rest.
It is. And this is what I'm going to share with all of you is, even I would share this with my family, right? Because so many times children, spouses, whatever that is, they don't understand, but help them understand during this week, I need to be able to rest. And so if I could have a little more help this week, that's going to start educating them. And that is something, and I'll probably share a story a little bit later on where, I had a wonderful partner in my life, but, I've definitely educated him on all of this, and he definitely tracked, and he could definitely see the phases that were going on in my life. But I'm also going to talk about food. Because if you listen to, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we talked about meal planning, right? Always meal planning, prepping. Well, this is definitely that week where as you're meal planning and prepping, you're going to want to have like warm stews, broth, bone broth. Think of things that are nourishing. It's like kale and spinach and even those protein, some people, organ meats and things like that. That's really going to replenish, especially a lot of people who even love red meat or anything like that. This is the week that you want to do that. Like, you're going to start noticing a difference. You're resting a little bit more. You're sleeping. You heard what Paige said about movement in your body. And now all of a sudden you're giving yourself a little bit of different nutrients. You're going to maximize this beautiful time. And it's going to be an amazing reflective time, because this is the time you're going to be getting just like wound up for the following phase. Because this is what I like to say is like part of my spring phase. Next is my kick butt phase. Like, who doesn't like have spring fever and always feel really good, right? This phase here is day 6 through 14. Okay. So now you've got through the first 5 days, right? Your bleeding is probably stopped. You're just starting to feel like, wow, I've got a little more energy. My clothes are feeling a little better. Maybe you're starting to feel a little bit sexier, right? This is it's true. At least for me, I'm like,
Yep.
myself again. I don't have as much brain fog, right? And this is really your follicular phase. This is, again, day 6 through 14. Your energy is raising. It is the time for you to be able to think about growth, revitalizing something. What is that project that you're working on? Paige, I think you're so good at this. You talk about this like you are so in tune.
It is. I mean, it's crazy because I started with cycle syncing back in the day, right? And I remember learning your follicular phase is really when your estrogen starts rising. So that's why you're going to see and feel that boost of productivity. And that's when you're like, oh, I have this like surge of energy and creativity. So for me, I work on a lot of creative tasks. And sometimes like they take a lot out of me. This might be big projects that I need to get done. This might be prepping for some sort of big event that I have later, but I know, okay, if I get it done during this time, it's going to get the best version of me. And because your productivity is literally at its like heightened peak, of course, going into ovulation, it's very similar. But this is also when, and you probably notice this, you feel a little bit more social during your follicular phase. Whereas in your menstrual phase, you don't really want to tap into those meetings. Like genuinely, it's like we just had a gal on our team start today, and she was literally talking about how she is like, it just hits you, right? And working primarily with women, we can talk about this stuff on calls and it's normal. It's like, okay, like for her, she's going to work on some different types of tasks that are more like, okay, Tracey calls these ankle biters, right? It's like those easy things where it's just like, you can kind of knock it off. You're not about to go into this like peak project execution mode. But what's really fascinating, and I'm so sorry, Tracey, I could go on about this forever.
I love this.
When I try to talk to men about this, right? It's like, they're like, well, why? Because their testosterone is like leveled every day, right? And so they think, okay, like you need to be up here all the time. But what's so fascinating is when a woman taps into her divine feminine and actually operates in her feminine, and there is polarity between the two, which I'm sure we'll do an episode all about polarity within all of it. But what's really fascinating is when we actually follow our entire cycle with food, with working out, with some of the business side as well, we actually are more productive and we get it done faster. Like that's what's so funny. And even the men that I've worked with in my life, like see me follow this. And it's funny because you think, oh, like you're just working on those ankle biters during your period. Like you're wasting so much time. No. We're actually getting way more done than you. If we're being honest here. If we're being honest.
Yes, we are.
But that follicular phase is really is really my favorite phase, going into ovulation, of course. But anyways, this is when you go to all of your networking events, you plan a networking event. And guys, it's not perfect. Like Tracey's had a crazy career. She was never able to do this because she's always on stages, period or not period. She's having to operate at this high level where I do feel lucky I've been able to kind of go through this. And I really want to make that a flexible environment for our team as well. I think it's important as a female founder to actually be like, okay, like being understanding and empathetic to cycle syncing and understanding, hey, hopefully we all sync to the same. Hopefully at one point when we're all together, we're all in the same cycle so we can do the same work. But it's just important.
It is. Have you ever noticed though, like, and I still would love to dig into this some more, but like, especially with myself, I have worked with a lot of women in my life, Paige, and I swear we're even syncing up by like 5 days now.
Yes,
like all of a sudden people will talk about like how just energetically women together will all start syncing up on their cycle. And I remember back in the day, before I went back to school for holistic health, really understood energetically what's going on, all these cycles and everything. I remember thinking, gosh, this is weird. Like, I wonder why this happens, right? We would all be looking at one another, right? So we're all tired. We're all maybe PMS, we all want chocolate. But then the next thing you know, we're all on and we're getting shiz done. I mean, it really was like this. We used to laugh. But then when I went back to school, I was like, no, this stuff is real. This isn't woo-woo. This is just part of life. It is so fascinating. So I want to talk, just kind of wrap up this beautiful phase here because I love this phase, right? And again, I'm all about the meal planning, right? And so forth as I want to talk about food. And again, we're going to have this for you. This is wherein you want more salads and sprouts and smoothies. You just think about those things that just feel light. Think about spring, right? All of that type of food. And you're going to have the chicken and the fish and the protein because it really is going to help and balance because what you're talking about, right? We're not going to get into full detail today, but it is all about our estrogen and our progesterone and what's going on in our body that's having all these dips and highs and lows. But when you can work with it, and you're in sync with it, it is absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to pause to say, like I mentioned this earlier. So, it's been several years ago. And I always say before I met the love of my life, I was dating someone, but he would track because one, he wanted to make sure he didn't plan a vacation during my cycle. So
I love that.
Hey, I thought to myself, well, good for him. And even the week of, he would be like, oh, you're a little munchier. I mean, he would be kind about it and be like, oh, yeah. And he'd get on his calendar like, oh, it's the week of, isn't it? Oh, he knew. Oh, she's going to need some more crackers. She's crunching a little more this week,
Which is okay too, because what is it? And I'm going to butcher this, but when I learned this, I was so excited. Where it was like, okay, in your luteal phase or right when you're about to start, you are expending so much more energy. And it's like, you're supposed to eat 200 to 500 more calories or something. And when I learned that, I was like, oh, amazing. Game on.
Game on. It's perfect. And we're going to talk about what that looks like because you're even going to be able to help manage because at least for me, we'll get to that phase. Like, I feel like I could eat the house down sometimes. When I wasn't feeding myself, when I really wasn't working with myself, it made it like a lot heightened for me. So we'll get to that phase. And now that I know what to do, I don't have that like munchiness so bad. It's not as, and some people even talk about the bloating is bad. Or even I've had women say to me like, Tracey, like I am really witchy, maybe with a B,
Yeah.
like, okay, so we're in our spring phase. As Paige said, we are getting out there. We're socializing. We're putting our like little outfits back on because we're feeling good, at least for myself. I guess I'll only be speaking about myself. Let's talk about that. Days 5 through 17, right? The ovulatory phase. And this is summer. We love summer, right? The heat's starting to get turned up. That passion. I will say this is our sexy phase. So, I mean,
unfortunate though, because this is the phase you can get pregnant in. So again, for all of you holistic wellness girlies out there that do not believe in birth control and we're all trying to monitor it naturally, this is when, for a couple days, lack of better terms, you're making them wear a condom. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever that looks like for you.
Whatever that looks like.
I mean, this is definitely that phase and you know it, right? Because, like I said, you go into spring, you're getting friskier and then summer's here, right? And we all feel that. I mean, I hope that these seasons help you in understanding what is going on. And then all of a sudden, and I will say that both of my children, Paige, I got pregnant during the summer. It was in the summer, girl. This is true. Like, that's why I had spring babies, because in the summer I'm getting pregnant, right?
Well, listen, this ovulatory phase, Elan stands for energy and confidence, right?
Yeah.
This is what I would say the phase where you're like peak energy and confidence, like your ovulatory phase. It is like your peak, you're feeling good, you're socializing. This is when I would say to capitalize on whenever I had to close deals, I think of it this way, like when you're closing a deal, when you're doing the stuff, like when you got to be on, this is the phase you want to do it in, right? Like if we're closing, if Tracey and I are closing some sort of wholesale deal or we have to fly somewhere doing all this, you best believe we are doing it when we are in our ovulatory phase, okay? Because we're going to be on like Donkey Kong.
Oh, this is the truth. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, you know what I do? Like, okay, and because most of us, I think, lots of times we'll batch social media. Maybe we have like content or even photo shoots. Can I tell you, I used to work with a woman and I would do like something like every other month with her. I was definitely not booking during that winter phase going into my menstrual. What, you think I wanted to feel like great then? Oh no, it was around this phase here. I'm not kidding. Now I'm going to pause to say it has fascinated me though, how women used to share with me that they never tracked. And I'm like, what? Okay, I'm going to share that. I am such a geek right now that I still have a physical calendar. Yes, anybody that just gasped right now, go ahead, because I love my calendar on my phone, but I am a girly who highlight, mark. I still will put day 1. And then because I have to take a natural progesterone, we'll talk more about this later because we're going to be offering, I'm just going to throw this out there, and Paige, I don't think she'll mind, is we're going to we have worked with someone to be able to have our listeners be able to have their own testing done at affordable pricing that no matter where you are in the US, but I don't want to go into all of that. But for me,
Stay tuned.
Please stay tuned. And because I had fibrocystic breast, I had to use a little bit of a topical, right? A bioidentical cream. And that was super important. So I knew that for me, like on that day 12, 14, I had to start with that just because of my own personal body. But still, this is when I am making sure those photo shoots get done because I'm not doing it during a different phase.
No. I will say, Tracey, like we need to get better at scheduling our photo shoots during this phase because this is one of the things where we have not. The last photo shoot that we did, Tracey and I were supposed to be in it, but we were both either in it was like our luteal phase, or I think I was actually on my period. And I literally told our videographer, I was like, sorry, we are not in this shoot this time. Like we're not on. Like we can't, like I physically can't get myself to like be myself.
No. Your skin goes through different phases. The same, your body. This is very real. And this is why I really hope that men are listening to this. And those men who really have, just like Paige was talking about, at first they may giggle and think, but like anything, they process and go, oh no, this is really real. Like this is part of cycle and life, and why not just accept it and work with it? And that's why I said, when you can like sit with your family or your children, I mean, imagine, I wish I could have been a young girl and my, mother would have like shared these different type of things, right? It makes a big difference. So again, in this phase, we're talking about, right, photo shoots, communication, connecting. And again, I'm just going to look down because I'm the foodie girl, right? I'm all about giving our body. But again, it's still going to be leafy greens, berries, cruciferous vegetables. Again, think of those, just beautiful protein and things. It's still light. It's still good. It's summer. Like we all want to eat lighter during the summer, right? It's just a different time. So I want you to think about that. But then we're going to go into the luteal phase.
The luteal phase.
It's
the dreaded luteal phase. It's dreadful for me. It's just, you're tired.
I know.
The cravings come up.
Oh, the cravings.
The estrogen and progesterone go down. I do get a little bit of flare-ups. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you might note it. Like, my skin is so clear right now because I just entered ovulation. And so I was in my follicular. But this is when you get into that luteal, and like it is normal for you to get some acne sometimes. And I don't want to say normal because that's still hormonal imbalance, but if it happens, it's likely to be in the luteal and menstrual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it is our estrogen and progesterone. There's things that are changing in there. And so again, but once we learn what foods and activity and different things to go with it, you can definitely decrease it, but understand, there is nothing wrong with me. Here's what's happening, but here's what I can do. Wow, I'm learning a little more of this. That's why I'm really going to say, again, it's so important. Go print those things, save them, because we're going to have them on social media. It's one thing that I'd always have people ask me for, like, oh, Tracey, do you have something? Do you have a handout? Do you have something you could like share with me? And so it's so
hard to know all of it. We didn't even go over, okay, I'm going to take one quick step back because we went through. So in the menstrual phase, workout wise, we don't even you don't need to go do anything crazy, right?
No.
Walk, get movement. Movement is still so important. We're always going to say that. Sunlight as much as you can. Please. Stretching, the yoga, light yoga. I like, honestly, don't put a ton of stress on your body. And sleep. And then follicular phase, that's when it's rising. So you can really start. So for me, I'm going to walk you guys through actually what I do. That's when I do a little bit more like if I do want to do light jogging, it's when I'm strength training, but I'm still not like PRing during follicular. I keep like bringing my weight up, my reps. I'm still getting my heart rate up, but it's still not like peak performance. Now, when I'm ovulating, that's when I'm like, all right, we're PRing this time. Like, and then every month I can hit a new PR. But what's funny is everyone tries to go so hard, or at least like, I think it is more my generation, tries to go so hard the entire time, and you end up plateauing. So what's funny is I was telling a gal that I used to work out with, I said, do less. Like, she's like, what's your secret? And I'm like, do less. Like, so many of us want to operate again up here, but really it's doing less and working with your body and learning to flow and connect with yourself and do what feels right in that moment. Then, of course, we get into luteal. Bring it back down again. This is when I still strength train, but it's a little bit lighter. And I'm like still like getting my body ready to get into that menstrual phase. So still getting a lot of movement in, but that is how I personally do it. So if you get some sort of track, what app do you track with, Tracey?
The one that I use is called Flow, FLO. And I get more than happy. And she's an incredible doctor who really, during 2018, when I started studying hormones, so for me, right, being, let's be honest, so much older, I didn't even think about any of this. And then when I started studying, and then more and more was starting to come out. And at first, even I was like, But then I was like, oh, I can't believe the difference. Like, I wish I would have been doing this all my life. Like, so when you start talking about it, I was like, oh, gosh. If I could have only talked to my 30-year-old self, right? I think both of us are going to do some episodes. If I could, the things I could have told my 20 and 30-year-old self, to be honest with you.
Tracey is I just want you guys to know, Tracey is about to do some awesome content with us because there are so many things that are in Tracey's brain that I'm just like, how do we get onto paper? Like, how do we do this? And I'm flying out to Scottsdale to go see her. And we are so excited. So stay tuned for that. But Tracey, to kind of, like bring it back full circle, what would you say, like if someone were to start their journey into cycle syncing today, where would you say to start or what those steps should be?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say, please do. If anything, print off these steps. And then definitely track. Like if you are a woman, because I didn't realize this was natural for me to always track, please do start tracking. Because if you are sitting there going, wow, I don't even know if I'm luteal or where I'm at in days 15. A lot of women say, man, my period would just show up and that was just the way it was. I want you to start tracking. I know. I mean, I was always like, what? Are you serious? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, oh no, girl. You're going to maximize that feminine energy of yours. And this is going to be game on for you. And I love it. Right? I'm like, no, you're a goddess girl. And we're going to use all that energy in there. So I want you to start tracking is what I'm going to say. 2, please do print this off, save it, like I said, because whatever that looks like for you, and then start. Oh, is it the food? Right? Because that week before, like my menstrual cycle, because I am more craving, that's when I add the sweet potatoes in, carrots, because you know how you're craving sugar. Well, I'd rather give my body that more natural sugar. So then at night, I'm not wanting the brownies, the cookies, the cakes as much. Okay? So I want you to start thinking about the food. That movement. Give yourself grace. Oh, wow, I do need to sleep. Oh, now I need to like ramp it up. Ooh, I've got that project going on. Like make it simple, but be cognizant and be loving your body and going, okay, body, we're in this phase. Like now I talk like, I'm like, okay, girl. All right, feminine energy, where are we at? That's what I do.
Well, listen, I mean, just the listeners know, anytime we do any sort of event, in person, anything, just know we will be in our follicular or ovulatory phase. So it'll be easy to know.
Oh, you're going to know.
Everyone will know our cycle at this point.
Yes. I have a very good friend, Annette, and you may know Annette Paige, and her and her husband run a business together, but she'll talk about those phases, and he is very clear about those phases as well and where she's at and what they're going to do. So again, if it's something you start feeling comfortable with, start sharing with your family, letting them know that there is nothing wrong with that. But I want you to just start taking these phases. We're going to get into definitely deeper. We just wanted to do something high level just to give you that knowledge, because I know myself when I started there and just started adding, and then I just scooched, right? We're always scooching, right? Yeah, as you know, each and every podcast, whatever it is we're talking about, we're like, add this one little thing in. Because no matter what we share with you, it's always to add more energy and confidence into your life. And we like to do it one scooch at a time. And that's it. Make it simple. Don't make it overwhelming. It's not all or nothing. Now, before we give them a scooch, Paige, is there anything else did anything bubble up for you? Because you're so good with the workout part. I do the food part of all the phases really well.
You do.
Yeah, I know. She's so good at that work. She's made me be cognizant. I want to thank you, Paige, because it really, because of you, made me even implement that more.
Well, it's crazy. Like even running this company, I always think about how do we optimize all of this, right? And how do we normalize it? And I think what's going to be really cool going forward is we're honestly going to kind of be some industry disruptors when it comes to our leadership style and the things that we do, because it is so important. And I don't want to say like we've been suppressed, right? It's not like we can't talk about it, but it hasn't been normal, right? And so now we're going to be talking about it more. We're going to be sharing it with the dudes out there, and they're going to get comfortable with it. And we're going to shake some things up because it's really important. And you should want to step into your feminine power. And I remember, I'll just kind of close with this. And I don't know why I'm even saying this, because this is not about a feminine and masculine energy one at all. But I've been thinking a lot about the polarity. And because I've been cycle syncing and I'm so in tune, I can't help but look back at who I was even a year ago. And I was operating so heavy into my masculine energy and almost trying to keep up with the guys. And, when I started to realize the power of operating in your feminine and being so true to who you are and being open with all of this stuff, that is when I stepped into who I really was. And that's what I think is taking Elan Pure to the next level. And I think, Tracey, you have helped me so much with stepping into my feminine a little bit more. And so now I want to thank you for that, because that's so important. Wow, we're just going to have so many cool episodes because now our heads are rolling.
And, and we really want to hear from you. Before we give you a scooch this week is, what are those questions that you have around this? Because like I said, this is just a high level podcast. We wanted you to just like us, you just need to be cognizant, start tracking. But if you could listen, every single week, we are starting to put out what we call Ask an Expert, right? Please go to the website, go to the show notes. We have things linked there. This is your opportunity to say, hey, here's a question that I have. Here's a podcast that I would love. A couple of weeks ago, we had a wonderful woman. She sent in a couple topics. She's like, wow, I'm loving this. Would you mind talking about this? And one of them was pelvic floor and pelvic floor exercises. And I said, absolutely, we can talk about those different things. Please stay tuned, right? We do these several weeks out, so we always say give us time, but it is something we always get back. But we want to hear from you. What more, so that when we do another episode that we can dive deeper. But for this particular episode here, so I want to say that Ask an Expert, send a message, DM us. Absolutely, there's a link. We want to hear from you. We reach each and every one of them, the both of us do. But for this scooch, I want you to simply, if you would, I want you to be cognizant about where you are in your cycle, because I didn't realize that so many women did not track. Okay, so one, that's an app for you, and we will share an app here in the show notes, because I know myself and Paige both use different types of apps. It doesn't matter. And then I want you to save these different phases. One, I want you to track. And then I want you to go out and save these different phases and start applying. And again, as I always say, we want you to tag us. We want to be able to hear, like, did this speak to you? Did this make sense to you? Did you see yourself in those different phases? And just say, yes, I am going to start living in my feminine power, and I'm going to start tracking because, girl, there is nothing wrong with you, and you need to own all those winter, fall, spring, and summer phases that you get every single month.
I love that. Thank you so much, Tracey. Until next time, everyone, thanks for tuning in.